Imagine someone broke into your house late at night and you defended yourself, you defended your family, or maybe you're out in the parking lot and someone was trying to attack you. You did everything right legally, but guess what? You could still end up in jail if you don't pay attention to what you say and how you say it. You see, in this video right now, we're going to cover what to say on the 911 call, what to say to law enforcement, what to say to attorneys. This is all important stuff to make yourself safe throughout the whole process of defending yourself. So hang with us.
If you're communicating this, that 911 dispatcher is sending all that info to us as we respond, to police officers as we respond. They're trying to update us with as much information as possible so we know what's going on. Also, don't mess with stuff, right? The common movie thing, I shot the dude and then I kicked the gun away from him. No, that's evidence. You just destroyed the evidence on the scene, right? That's a crime. They frown on that, right? They don't like it. I'll get in trouble after a shooting if I move something. They don't like it, right? Just leave it alone. Let it be. Don't pick up your brass casings because you're afraid you littered, right? Don't pick up your phone fell, whatever, your clip broke, you lost a shoe. Leave it alone. Because when I show up and I see a area of stuff littered by you, leading to your shell casings, that pretty much tells me that you were attempting to retreat in fear of your life and things went poorly for you, right? That speaks volumes for what happened if there's no video, right? So leave that stuff alone. Next, you're probably gonna get handcuffed. You are 99% chance is gonna get handcuffed, right? Because if I show up and I know you and you shot a person, I'm gonna cuff you and stuff you in the back of my car and go, give me a minute to figure this out. And then I'm gonna go get some statements, right? Why? Because if you are the bad guy, I can't risk you leaving, right? And if you aren't the bad guy, I have a duty to protect you, right? So I'm gonna check and make sure you're okay, and then I'm gonna put you somewhere safe while I get this figured out and get it under control. When I got more resources here, we'll start working on it. All right, same thing happens to officers. We generally don't get handcuffed, they generally just sequester us, and it sucks when you get sequestered because a million things are running through your head and what's going on here. You're gonna be charged with murder. It doesn't matter that it was a justified shoot. A grand jury will convene with an indictment for murder against you if you use your weapon to protect yourself. They don't tell you this in Arizona. Every time a police officer gets in a shooting and shoots someone, he gets charged with murder. They get charged with murder, it goes to the grand jury reviews the case, and they go, we don't find sufficient cause to charge this person because there's a clause that says when protecting another person, we see that he was protecting another person, no crime was committed. Right? They're going to go through that, and then you're going to get a formal letter that says you're being indicted for murder. And you're going to get a letter that says, we cleared you. Inform the police that you want to cooperate fully and have every intention of cooperating once your attorney gets here. And then, and this is super important, shut your pie hole. Shut up. Why? Because you were just in the most stressful situation of your entire life. And everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And you're scared, and you're babbling, and you're talking a mile a minute, and everything that happened made sense, but you're saying it out of order right now because your thoughts are all jumbled up. And then when you go back and say it in order and it doesn't match what you were saying on scene, it's gonna look like you cooked it. Shut up. I tell officers the same thing. Let your adrenaline come down, let the attorney get there, get relaxed again, talk to the attorney and tell him what happened and have him walk you through what you need to do, right? It doesn't matter how clean the shoot was. It doesn't matter that there's 3 videos, 36 witnesses, and a nun testifying to your innocence right there in the QT parking lot. Close your mouth. Let the police know you want to cooperate. Invoke your right to remain silent. They make little cards you can print off the internet which tell you what to say. And you can hand that to the officer so that you don't have to speak or anything to invoke your rights. Just be quiet. I'm not telling you to be quiet so that you can get out of murder. I'm telling you to be quiet so you don't jam yourself up in a good shoot. You had every right to do what you did. It was a clean shoot. We all agree on it, but you need to shut up and let nature take its course with how that works. Because the legal system is huge and you don't want to get yourself jammed up when you did everything right, but you didn't say it out loud right. A lot of times what the attorneys will do is they'll sit with you and they'll have you prepare a written statement. And they'll give you time with cut and paste to get your thoughts in order for a couple of hours. And once the written statement is there, You go to the officer and you read it. And then if they have any questions, you reread that section. That's what I've seen in them. Why? Because that's what happened. I had a chance to think about it. I had a chance to formulate my thoughts. This is my best verbalization of what's gone on here without me trying to remember it all from memory and tell you everything that's going on here. Think about when something exciting has happened to you and how jumbled your thoughts are at the time, right? Even if it wasn't a bad thing that happened, right? Kids do it all the time, right? All the information's out of place and you're like, what? And you're trying to get it figured out. Same thing. After effects. So these are common after effects after you get into any altercation in which you were in fear for your life, whether it was a shooting, a stabbing, a cutting, a threatening, whatever it was. These are all common side effects. I'm going to read through them real quick because I know it's kind of small. Elation, you're really happy you're not dead, right? Revulsion, you're disgusted with yourself because you killed someone. Remorse, you wish you didn't have to do it. Doubt, damn, did I do the right thing? Acceptance, yeah, I did the right thing. I've seen officers get into shootings and they just sit there. It was a perfectly good shoot. You can see the body camera. The dude was trying to kill him. I totally get it, right? And they are racked with remorse and doubt that they did the right. Is there something else I could have done so I wouldn't have had to shoot that guy, right? That's totally normal. It doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Totally normal. Same thing with acceptance. I've seen officers get into a clean shoot, and they go, "He's trying to kill me, man. I wasn't going to let that happen." I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's a totally normal response too. You move into anger over the situation, fatigue, your adrenaline rush, right? It plays a big part in that. Insomnia afterwards. This makes people chuckle. Sexual arousal. Why? Your body dumped all of the hormones into your bloodstream when this happened, right? And then it burned through a bunch of them as it happened, and now it's just cycling through the rest of the stuff. But you're still human and have to feel what all the chemicals are that your body dumped, because your body went, dump it all. I don't know what's happening. Everything we got, send it, right? And now you got to finish processing through it, which is why people will get the giggles. They'll start sobbing, right? Other things will happen. Depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. So post-traumatic stress that happens after a trauma, post-traumatic stress, is completely normal. You should experience PTS after a situation like this. It doesn't become PTSD, a disorder, until it starts impairing your normal life. If you gamble on the weekends and you can still pay your bills and it doesn't ruin your relationships with people, right? You don't have a gambling problem. It's not a disorder. It's not negatively impacting your life. Does that make sense? Same thing with drinking. Same thing with eating, right? If it's not negatively impacting your life, it's not a disorder, right? When your body is working through all of this stuff, it's not a disorder. It's got to do that. You got to go through post-traumatic stress. It's later down the road when you can't get past it that it becomes a disorder, when it starts preventing you from being okay. For the first couple of weeks going through this stuff, yeah, totally normal. If it persists after a couple weeks, talk to somebody anyway. But make sure you're talking to somebody. If after a month or two you're still having problems, pretty solid you're suffering PTSD, get some help. Get worked through it. Basically, the only thing that's going to help is talking through it and working through it. And a lot of times it's finding people who have been through similar issues so they can help you work through it. Flashbacks, bad dreams, nightmares, anxiety, confusion, what-if games, impotency, and then a whole lot of other things come into play with this. Again, all the hormones and chemicals your body can possibly produce dumped into your bloodstream, and you got to work through it. Right? And it's also why you tend to be completely exhausted. Have you ever been in a collision, minor fender bender, but your adrenaline went through the roof? And 20 minutes later, I'm exhausted, right? My body dumped all the chemicals and it had to process them, and that pretty much used up my energy reserves for the day, right? I can't be dealing with this anymore. Violence isn't pretty. The only thing that stops a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun, right? Violence is violence. It is ugly. It is messy. It is not the cool stuff that you see in the movies where the hero blocks, hits, and strikes and does all this cool stuff. And guns are tools. They're like hammers, knives, baseball bats, crowbars. They're a tool for what's going on, right? They might not be the right tool for where you're at. Just because you have it doesn't mean you should use it. It might not be the effective tool for where you're at. Your everyday carry equipment, like what's in that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. The other tools I should have should be more things. So now what if the dude pulls a weapon on me and I'm in like my kid's playground with them, right? I'm in a classroom. I'm at a movie theater that's really crowded. Can I draw my weapon and shoot this guy because he's starting to shoot people? Yeah, but where are the bullets gonna go? Where are all these people at, right? Well, this dude's distracted. Maybe I pull a blade and close, right? And I take him out that way. Maybe I just tackle him to the ground, wrestle the gun away from him until I can get a clean shot. Maybe it's more risky to fire my weapon than it is to use a different tool. And if you're not trained to do these things, don't employ them, right? That's not what I'm saying. I need to analyze what my options are and pick the best one for what's going on. A good person isn't good because they're weak and defenseless, unprepared and unskilled at violence. So many people will tell you, well, I couldn't hurt anybody, right? And I'm good because of it. No, you're not good, you're useless. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm making a point, let me finish, right? You're useless. The hamster, right, does not possess the ability to kill me. That does not make it good. It simply can't. You put 100 pounds on that hamster and see what happens to you, right? You're gonna have to make some decisions about shooting a hamster real quick, right? We have chickens. I firmly believe that if God made chickens 100 pounds heavier, they would rule the freaking planet. Those things are vicious, cruel, evil, mean little suckers. If you got chickens, you know what I'm saying. You should be absolutely capable of violence. You should be completely capable of becoming an unstoppable monster to protect what's yours. But you should have that locked down and under control. Because if you don't possess that, it's not that you're peaceful, you just don't possess the capability to be violent. If you do possess that capability and it's locked down, that's totally different. Those are the people I want on my side when the zombies get here. You don't have any duty to render aid to somebody you shot. You don't have any duty to do that until it becomes safe. And when does it become safe? When the fire department and the police officers show up, right? And then you're basically handing off care to them is how the law works, right? You don't have any ability or any requirement to render aid. You should immediately check yourself. We talked about that. If you get hurt, don't worry about the injury until the threat's neutralized. So he pulls his weapon out first and hits me in the arm. It's not time to put pressure. It's time to stop the threat. I got to shoot this guy. I got to put him down. I got to end this threat. Because if I start dressing this wound, he's going to make more, right? I can't have that right now. Bystanders, if they were caught in the crossfire, I need to check on what's going on here, right? I need to figure that out. Are people running to help you? Are they mad that you shot their friend? What's happening here? Having a tourniquet, these are chest seals. That's combat gauze like Quick Clot, and then pressure dressings right here. You should have those items available. Generally speaking, putting that in your car, they expire, but they really don't expire. There's nothing wrong with them when they hit their expiration date. It's just how the medical company gets more money out of you. Keep that in there. Why? Because I'd like to know there's a tourniquet in my car if I need it, right? I like to know where one is, that something's nearby if I got to do it. Certainly if I look around and someone I love is injured, I'd like to be able to help them until medical can get there. Fire department's usually about 8 minutes out. 8 minutes is a long time, a long time. You can bleed to death in 2 minutes. You can lose consciousness in as little as 15 seconds. We're going to change gears into looking more at when I can shoot and when I can't. Every situation is different. I can't give you a cookie cutter solution to when you can use force and when you can't use force, to when you can use deadly force and when you can't use deadly force, when you're going to be justified and when you're not going to be. Different for every single thing, right? Can we argue that a person with a baseball bat coming at me is lethal force? Do we all agree on that? Okay. What if they're 4?
4 of them?
4 years old.
Oh, 4 years old.
Yeah. 4 of them, I would argue you still have a pretty solid use of force right there. Right? What if it's a 4-year-old with a bat? And the 4-year-old's saying he's going to hit me, and he's going to hurt me, and I want to kill you. I don't want to say you can't. Don't like to use the words never or always, but I really don't see a way that you articulate why you shot a 4-year-old in the face. Right? So, what if they're 6? 7? 9? 12? 13? 16. Oh, now we got conditions, right? right? Why? Because of his size, he's willing to entertain fighting a 16-year-old female with a bat, but a 16-year-old male, he's guessing is going to be a lot stronger, and he's not willing to make that chance, right? Do you see where the articulations come into this, right? So now what's the cutoff? There isn't one, right? There. When I look at this kid, and he's got a bat, and he's coming at me, am I like, 16, 15, maybe he's 18? You got an ID on you, dude? Right? When's your birthday? Right? It's not going to happen. I'm going to have to make that determination, right? And now he's 18 and 6 foot tall and 130 pounds. I'm not super concerned about this kid with the bat. At that size, there's like 12 total pounds of muscle left that could be on his frame, right? I feel like I could deal with this problem. The size of the attacker, that discrepancy is going to play a role in what's going on. The disparities are going to play a role in what's going on. The ability of the person to do that. So they have to have the opportunity and the ability to hurt you, right? They have to have both of those, opportunity and ability for that. There's another issue that goes into that. You have to be in jeopardy, right? All these things come into play, right? Whether I can articulate what I can articulate, there's just no black and white answer, yes here, no here, right? There's just so many factors that are coming to play. And who's going to have to make that decision? You. And how are you going to have to make that decision? Lickety-split-like, in a hurry, quick and fast. With how much information do you get that to make that decision? Maybe none, maybe some. How much light will there be on this subject while you're having to make this decision? Is it dark? Is that complicating things for you? You'll be judged on what you knew at the time. You won't be judged on what's known later. So if later they determine he's a felon who's killed 6 people and has a history of knife fighting, but you didn't know any of that and you shot him preemptively, murder. Make sense? You knew all that going in because you have 7 restraining orders against him. Way easier to articulate. It's a really complicated path and there's no clear answer. So I like to give you a bunch of different ideas about it to think through, right? These are all things that if you never made this consideration before and now you have to make it on the fly, that OODA loop has to go and it has to figure out what it's going to do. So he's got me at gunpoint, right? He's got me at gunpoint and I'm over here with my knife. I'm going to kill you, right? What if your weapon's holstered? How long is it going to take you to get the weapon out? All right, so tuck it in. I got shot, but he got cut, and I'm fat and old, right? How much distance we have between us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 15 feet or so. Right? And I'm old and slow. 21 feet is the magic number, they say, for the distance an attacker can close with an edged weapon before you can get your weapon into the fight. That's not a rule. It's just an approximation. We give that to people because this distance is discerning. Now, if he's pointing the gun at me, yeah, that's a totally different. He no longer has to get the gun out, right? And momentum's a big thing because my force is going to drive, right? Even if he kills me and hits me in the chest, what if I still got 30 seconds of life left? Can do a lot of damage for 30 seconds, right? Can be a problem with what we're doing. So now I charge him and he shoots me and I go, ah! Ugh. What's he do now? One on my head to end it, right? No, that would be murder. Because what just happened to the threat? It stopped being imminent. Because how do I have to hurt him? Yeah. Well, he could get up and cut me. Yes. He could get up and then cut you. But he can't. And I'm not saying I wouldn't throw the knife at him, right? Oh, sure, that's a possibility. Ninjas exist, right? Now, if I do this, oh yeah, as soon as that leg comes up, I'm going to shoot you again, right? You do not shoot a person with a pistol to kill them. You don't defend yourself with a firearm in the state of Arizona to kill them. You defend yourself in the state of Arizona with the firearm to neutralize the threat against you. Once the threat is neutralized, it's over. So he shoots me and wings my earlobe, and I'm like, oh God, my ear, why? Wasn't a really great shot, probably not something he's gonna tell his grandkids about, right? Was hoping he'd get a more center mass shot and look cooler on the QT video from that, but it worked. Threat's neutralized, it quit. He doesn't get to put 6 more rounds in my chest now. Now you have the kniffy or the bat, it doesn't matter. I'll take the pistol, and we're right here. Right? We talked about this already. What could I do to make my position better? Right? And now what's he got to do? He's got to make a 90-degree turn to get to me. What's that buy me? Time. Right? Time. And so come at me with the bat. I start backpedaling, right? And I can give myself even more time to deal with this. Continuing to make turns that make him have to turn with me. Right? I can use the obstacles to my advantage in what's happening. Whether that be a table at a restaurant, right? A park bench, a lawn chair. I can put something between us to mitigate the danger of his weapon. Now, if it's a gun, that's not going to work, right? But I'm trying to mitigate that danger, also trying to buy myself a couple of seconds. We talked about ability, opportunity, and jeopardy. The opportunity is a really big thing. Our criminal justice system is based off of opportunity, right? How do we stop a rapist? We stop giving him the opportunity to rape by locking him in prison. How do you stop a murderer? How do we stop the robber? How do we stop the aggravated assault dude? Same thing. We take away his opportunity to do such things. He still has the ability. We can't prevent the jeopardy. If he chooses, he's the one that chooses to put me in jeopardy. I don't get any control over that. So I take away his opportunity, right? So they have to have that opportunity for you to be able to justify lethal force. They have to be in possession of the ability for you to make you feel like you need to use lethal force, and you have to feel like you're in jeopardy. Imminent threat, death, serious physical injury of you or another party, right? That's what you have to be able to articulate. And don't just say, well, I was in imminent threat of death or serious physical injury of myself or a third party, and that's why I shot him. What your attorney is most likely going to tell you, because this is what I've seen, right? Every attorney is different, is why? Well, because he had a knife. Okay. So because he had a knife, you were worried that he was going to cut me. And what would happen if you got cut? I was worried I would need stitches, I would pass out, I would bleed to death, I would be permanently injured and never be able to recover. Okay. So because he had the knife, you were concerned with this, and that's why and that sounds much better than who was under imminent threat of death or serious physical injury, right? It shows that you had that fear, right? You're allowed to be human. You don't have to pretend none of it bothered you once everybody shows up.